All right, hello everyone. Here we are back for a golf class tutorial video here for the Gokasho Bay. And what we're going to do is, let me get my screenshot here. We'll talk about prioritizing here. So first things first, I'd like to have a Guardian 6 for this if at all possible. It's kind of the minimum. Of course, you can get away with a 2. The shot just changes a little bit. Guardian 2 to 5 also works for this hole. It's going to be highest priority, even at a 2, in my opinion, above Sniper. And Sniper 8 to 10 is still going to be an inferior club to even Guardian 2. So that's the priority that I have here. We can list a couple more here. You're going to need a little bit of backspin here, so hammerhead 4. And alternatively, let's put cat 1 on here as well. So it's still something that you can do. Let's talk a little bit about the shots. There's pretty much 2 that I'll play. One will be right about here with the Sniper. It's kind of the inferior shot, but it's doable. The next is going to be Guardian right on the front of the fringe here, right on the front of the green. Ideally, we'll move it back to the fringe as necessary, and we'll move it back to the fairway as necessary. So depending on the wind that you get, that land zone needs to switch with it. So what you typically want to do is you want to just kind of hit a stop shot, and kind of this last spin sometimes starts to back up as the wind gets more aggressive, especially towards a headwind. So it does get easier, and the more of a headwind that you have, the more Guardian is just an overwhelming, dominant favorite on this hole. Just makes so much easier to get consistent results. So that would be ideal, as to definitely what you want to have would be the Guardian. And pretty much no matter what, with this shot, we'll just call this, the Guardian shot. Let me switch this X to this color. And it's going to be, max across the board. There's no exception. I never, essentially never back away from this unless there's only one kind of extreme case, and that's if I have like a Guardian 2 to 5 and can't land it anywhere but the fairway. So if I absolutely have to land it on the fairway, I might start to tweak this max number just slightly, just to kind of play wind effect more so than anything. But ideally, in most cases, we're going to be able to use this max pretty much for all the winds. And we'll always have a shot covered for this Guardian shot here. And that is this orange landing zone here. As I mentioned, we just might have to change from surface to surface. So in the tailwind situation, I may be able to land on the fringe. Especially if I have Guardian 6, then I probably can. Then ideally, I want to land right on the beginning of this fringe. So I want to aim just barely on the north part of that fairway. The closer I can land it to the fringe, the closer I'm going to be towards the hole in the tailwind case. With the headwind, it's opposite. It makes the shot so much easier because I don't have to get aggressive whatsoever. I can play my shot sometimes more up towards even here and still get it to stop right around the hole. So, and being able to do this is very favorable. If you can land that far north, you're in very good shape to be able to easily dominate this hole. Similarly with this Sniper shot, the approach is kind of going to be like this, but it usually also requires a little bit of curl. So if here's my tee box right here, I might need to use maybe about this much curl, and you can use your ball guide to kind of see. However, wind effect, you might need to alter this. This is kind of more the natural position. You might need to come in if it's left to right wind. You might need to go to the other side and pull way over here if it's a right to left wind. And in terms of your spin, you're usually looking at, I like to use about 4 for this side wind here. And for the headwind, we'll back it down to about a 3. And we might come up to as much as a 4.5. on the tailwind situation. So we'll only do this because we kind of have to. This is the best way to play sniper. It's much safer than trying to land it here with the fairway full backspin. Very, very tough shot. And with the Guardian, we can usually always land it at a 6 or above. You can pretty much always land it on the fringe or above. So let's talk about the adjustments here. So here's the side, here's the head, here's the tail. And with this side wind, with the Guardian shot, I'll usually play this very close to max. The tailwind shot can get a little bit trickier because you'll be moving towards a lower elevation. So depending on how much of a lower elevation, I might go max minus 10%. So you'll have to go kind of a little bit less adjustment. With the headwind situation, I'm going to need to go at least max plus 10 minimum. And sometimes I might go as much as plus 25%. So it just depends on how strong it gets and how much I need to actually pull towards that max number. It's kind of going to dictate how much I'm going to need to pull there. And with the sniper shot here, very similar. We'll still play, side wind very close to max here, assuming that we don't go too much into this bunker. If we have to go into this bunker, I might go max minus 10. So it just depends. You could maybe go minus 10 on that side wind, depending on if you go into that lower ground. With the headwind situation, we're going to go at least max plus 10, max plus 15, somewhere in there, minimum. So plus 10 to 20, we'll call it. And with the tailwind, I can play very close to max here as well, max minus 10. Somewhere in there, very similarly. And it's usually, you usually don't go to too much lower ground, but you're just getting so much towards min club in that situation. So something that you want to just be a little bit mindful of. But hopefully that helps. And as I mentioned, with the whole wind effect thing, especially with this Guardian shot, you'll just have to vary the way that you can land between, say, this point right here and this point right here. Headwind is more up towards here. Tailwind, you have to land right here. And if you have to go down into this bunker, you'll have to make sure that you don't go full max because you'll be moving to lower ground. You might have to reduce that reduction by 10, depending on how far the adjustment, maybe even minus 15. If it's going to really start to drop down and land short on you. So the tailwind case is definitely the one that you want to avoid, but the side wind and the headwind, this should be very, very straightforward. Just hit the fringe, play the wind effect. So you use a lot of curl because you want to always kind of try to land on this spot and kind of minimize the amount of rings that you have to go and just curl it back. So if the wind's, very hard and the wind's blowing and it's, bringing your ball in this way, you want to just curl it back to get it more online. So hopefully that helps you guys, and see you guys on the next one.